Hello everybody and welcome back to TTTV. You're watching TTL F1 season number 11, which takes us to round 17 and the Japanese Grand Prix, a legendary track, a legendary place to come racing, and I'm glad to say that I'm joined in the commentary box by Andy Campbell. Andy, how are you tonight?
I'm very well, thank you very much, Kieran. Hope you're good as well. Hello to everybody watching as well. We're in for an interesting race. Suzuka always throws up some fantastic racing, some legendary corners. Obviously, 130R being the pick of the bunch, of course, and we still got a four-way scrap for leading the championship as well, I believe. I'm sure you're going to correct me if I'm wrong in a minute, but as we close in to the end of the season, who's going to take that championship and who's going to be the team's champion as well?
Absolutely. Well, speaking of the driver standings, we're going to run through them very quickly here. So at the top of the table is Lambo on 233 points, Spikes in second on 209, Poe in third on 208, Squeezy is in fourth on 205, Lighty in fifth on 93 points, Siege in sixth on 78, Maze in seventh on 67, Blizzard as a reserve on 65, Technique in ninth on 62, Ollie is in 10th on 53, then we have Jay in 11th on 50 points, Steph is in 12th on 46, Z3 in 13th on 32, Sean is in 14th on 28 points, The Gort in 15th as a reserve on 24 points, Alan K 16th 22 points, Damien, LMFC and Josh all on 18 points. They're all in 17th place with Josh being that reserve there. Onyx is in 20th on 16 points. Also tied with him is Clifford, also on 16 points in joint 20th. Plaster is in 22nd, he's on 11 points. Weed and Tractor on 10 points, both as a reserve, both in 23rd, with CSR Hamilton 25th as a reserve, scoring 2 points. Then we move on to the constructors table, which is just as tight as the drivers title. Renault are leading the way on 284, Toro Rosso in second on 265, McLaren in third on 261, Sauber are in fourth on 239, then it's Williams in fifth on 131, Red Bull in sixth on 111, Ferrari in seventh on 104, Haas in eighth on 103, Mercedes in ninth on 64, Force India in 10th on 36, hoping to make a late charge up the field. And as you say, Andy, it's a legendary track, the Suzuka track. Obviously, the Japanese Grand Prix has been both the Suzuka track and the one in Fuji, but I would say the spiritual home of the Japanese Grand Prix has always been Suzuka.
For me, yeah, even though the first Japanese Grand Prix was held in 1976 at Fuji, and I think everybody that's got a bit of history to F1 will know about that one. It was the race that James Hunt won his one and only championship, of course. But for most F1 fans, Suzuka is definitely the home for the Japanese Grand Prix. Fuji's a good track as well, but nothing beats Suzuka. The only figure 8 on the calendar. There's not many of those tracks around the world as a whole either, so it just adds a different element to it. And with the likes of 130R, it's been sort of castrised in recent years, obviously with safety measures, but it's still a fearsome corner. The likes of the two Degner corners and Spoon as well. Just especially those S's though at the start of the lap, up the hill, heading towards the end of Sector 1. It's just a fantastic sight, and there's very few tracks in the world that can match it. It's just really looking forward to seeing what the drivers can do here tonight around this fantastic race circuit.
Absolutely, and as you were saying before, 130R originally named to be a 130 degree radius of the original corner, and built originally as the Honda test track. It's the spiritual home of Honda as well, back in the 1960s, and then of course it was converted into a racetrack in the late 70s. It's had a patchy history, but it's had motor racing of motorbikes and also of GT cars as well. Suzuka has it all, and it's one of those old school tracks that receives the highest compliments from almost every driver on the grid, so it should provide some fantastic racing. In the past, it's provided drama, as you say, Andy. That championship battle in 1976 between James Hunt and Niki Lauda. It may not have been at Suzuka, but it provided a platform for modern Formula 1 as we know it. Going to Suzuka though, consecutive years in 1989 and 1990 between two drivers, one Brazilian, one French. Don't really need to know, or don't really need to say what their names are. It's so legendary, this circuit now. And it's also seen Kimi Räikkönen come from, I believe, 17th on the grid or 18th on the grid to eventually take the race win. Yeah, to eventually take the race win in a McLaren. It's had a whole host of history, and I'm glad we're going there today. It's a fantastic track.
Definitely. So in that one you mentioned with Raikkonen, 2005, if I remember rightly, for that past Fisichella in the Renault in the last lap, and I believe the race lap record is still from that race. Kimi Raikkonen in the McLaren 2005, a 1 minute 31.5. So I believe that is still the lap record for this track, believe it or not, even with the current 2018 V6 hybrid turbos smashing lap records left, right and centre this season. It is still from 2005 in those screaming V10s that I think we all miss, to be perfectly honest. But I'm going to pose another one of my cheeky wee trivia questions real quickly for anyone in the chat. I like throwing these ones in, as you know already, Kieran. So Japanese Grand Prix obviously only had two venues, which is Fuji and Suzuka, but there has been one other Japanese track that has hosted a race, albeit not under the Japanese banner. I think this one's a bit easier, but if you know what the answer is, put it in the comments below in the chat, and I'll give the answer just at the end of qualifying before the race. So I'll just throw that one in there, because I love my trivia, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even I know that one, Andy. But we'll see if anybody else can get it throughout the broadcast. Of course, if you've got any questions at all, including who we think is going to grab pole, who's going to grab the win, put it down in the comments. Andy and I will be happy to entertain that one. We've got a couple of reserves tonight. Blizzard and the Gort are joining us as reserves. Great to see them back. Blizzard, of course, competing as a team member of what was it? I'm spilling my words
VSR.
here. Yes, he's part of
VSR under the Week Wi-Fi Cup on Saturday, which is phenomenal.
If you haven't seen that, by the way, please go back and see it. It's doing an amazing round on the channel. It's now just over 300 views. So a big thank you to everybody who tuned in, and a big hello to everybody who's tuning in who maybe watched that stream on Saturday. So it was a great race, great night of racing, and here we are now to focus on the TTL League now, riding on board with Squeezy then, who is fourth in the championship. And well, Squeezy here just needs to find a little bit of form though, Andy. I think he's been a bit quiet in previous races. This could be his time to shine.
It could certainly be. I mean, obviously, a couple of races ago, Monza, him and Onyx obviously bashing and bumping, got him a qualifying ban in Singapore, and he was pretty quick in that race because he was up front for quite a bit, so it's a good chance for him to try and redeem himself, get himself back up into that championship battle a lot more than what he currently is, and he is going to be the first one, I believe, to set a lap. He's currently coming round the end of Spoon Curve, heading up towards 130R just now, so it'll be interesting to see what you can do. I don't know if you're still on board with him at the moment, Kieran, but if you wouldn't mind, I wouldn't mind doing a quick wee flying lap with him to go around the track. Absolutely.
Well, he's coming to the final chicane now, so Andy, you go for it.
Yeah, brilliant. So coming out of the final chicane, the Casio Triangle, heading down up through the gears, across the start finish line, one of the DRS zones here, down the front straight, and he's heading up towards turn 1 just now, over 200 miles an hour. It's a really quick entrance. He's still in 8th gear through it, down to 5th into the second corner, and then we come up to this lovely flowing section, the S's up through the hill. You get the first part wrong, and you can put yourself out for the whole way up the hill. And he's still going through up to 6th gear, around about 100 miles an hour, and then up through Dunlop Curve. That's where we unfortunately lost Jules Bianchi in 2014. But the uphill curve is still a tricky corner. Up to the first of the Degner corners, flows it in 160 mile an hour, 7th gear, and then down to 4th, using the apex under the overpass. We'll be back there in a minute. And then coming up towards turn 11, the hairpin. We're going to see some overtaking down into here, I believe, during the race. And then it's back on the power, coming through the next couple of corners, although it is just a flat out here at turn 12, as Z3's already retired from the session. Up to Spoon Curve, 50 metres, hard on the brakes, down to 50, 120, use the curb on the exit, down to 4th, around about 100 miles an hour. That might just invalidate the lap, that little bit of a run wide there, but he's still going on the power for the meantime and heading up towards 130R. Let's listen and see if he's flat out. I'm sure he will be. Yeah, absolutely pinned to the floor through 130R, and now up to the chicane, the Casio Triangle chicane, down to 2nd gear, get it turned in, and then using the curb on the inside, flat on the power one more time, up to the line, DRS back open, first lap in the books. It's a 127.9 from Squeezy, and that is on the super softs. The other two tyre choices are the yellow softs and white mediums. And I've lost gearing for a minute, so I'll carry on. So good lap there from Squeezy. Pogo's second at the moment with 27.9, so he's just shy of the pole lap, 8/1000 so far off. And it'll be interesting, we've got Blizzard on track at the moment as well. He is just going up through to start his flying lap now on those super softs. He's in the Sauber this time as Lambo takes provisional pole, 27.6 in the Red Bull Toro Rosso. Honda power at the Honda track as Blizzard gets sideways coming up the hill over the Dunlop curve and comes through into Degner just now. The only other driver to set a lap is Steph in the Mercedes, 2.8 seconds off the pole time at the moment. He is on the medium tyres.
And as we see Blizzard here come through the hairpin just there, where we see Kamui Kobayashi make some moves there a couple of years ago. Always a fan favourite here at the Suzuka track. We see Blizzard now come towards the spoon curve. The weatherman in the comment section says it's dry for both the qualifying and the race. So no threat of rain, hopefully, as the clouds do look like they're looming over the circuit. That's going to affect the tyre temperatures as well as the track temp as well. The thing about this new cars is that you have to watch out for the tyre carcass temperature, not just the surface temperature. If you ever heat the carcass, you can put yourself in a world of trouble in the long term. Not necessarily the short term. Oh, Blizzard gets it wrong coming into the pit lane there. But it manages to...
one there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a different line, that's for sure. C Steph 129.6 on a set of medium tyres. As you said there, Steph on a 130.5 also on mediums. And not only there, also on mediums, 133.1 setting a banker lap to improve. As we have Damien, I believe Damien in the Mercedes is having DRS issues already. Now we saw last time out Z3 had some issues at Singapore, I believe. Along with another driver, so it looks like Mercedes are hit by a little bit of problems here, but hopefully they can fix that for Damien's car, and he should have DRS through the session. Of course, DRS, well, it's just on one section down this long straight that Ollie's going down right now, so it's not a huge end of the world problem. They did want to run DRS through 130R, but quite evidently thought not to after seeing the British Grand Prix going through turn 1. A very wise idea, I think.
Yeah, I mean, at 130R, I still remember 2002, Alan McNish in the Toyota on the warm-up lap to the grid, and he chucked it into a big impact. And I think it was on the way to the grid on the morning warm-up, I can't remember, but it was a huge incident backwards into the tyres there, and that was well before artificial aids helped you with qualifying. Squeezy though is still there in second. I thought he'd just changed Lighty on the soft tyres, just under a second slower than Paul. He's in fourth at the moment in the fry, so a good lap, but it would be fun to see if they could go through 130R with the DRS open. I remember in the previous years when DRS could be used whenever you wanted, it's in qualifying and in practice. I remember trying it in the older games and I always spun it, so I was never good enough.
Well, I'm not surprised, Andy. With the DRS open, you've got so little rear downforce, keeping the rear of that car down on the track, keeping it planted. No wonder you lost the back end going through there.
I was always one for trying something a bit crazy once in a blue moon, but yeah, it never came off too well. It's probably why I'm better suited to the commentary box than on the racetrack with these guys, that's for sure.
Yeah, I remember a little bit of banter going on in the in one of the races. Obviously, we had yesterday the TTL Classics, the debut of that, where we all watched a classic race. Last time it was the Belgian Grand Prix of season number 8, and obviously we poked fun at the fact that I've never had a race win at all in my career as a racer. But there you go, you can't complain too much. I'm better suited to the commentary box, I think, anyway. As Jay comes across the line and goes top, 127.2. Good lap from the Renault driver. Seems to have it all in qualifying, but he just needs to get those race performances down to a T, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. He's shown himself to be quick in qualifying. I was watching him just through the spoon curve. The commitment was phenomenal into the first part of the spoon curve there from the Renault driver. So good lap time there. Into the first one, sorry, not the first one into the 27s, but he's certainly into the low 27s, and he's got 4/10ths over anyone else at the moment. So good lap there from him. The strategy's going to be interesting because although the weatherman says it's going to be dry and no rain, if any rain was to come, as you know in Japan, if it doesn't, it rains rains in biblical proportions. There's no such thing as a little shower when it comes to Japan. It comes in typhoon-style conditions, so hopefully it does stay dry and we don't need to worry about that here today. But with just under 9 minutes left to go, it is Jay in that provisional pole slot from Lambo, with Squeezy and Poe following up on the second row. So 3 of the 4 championship protagonists are right up there at the moment. Spike a wee bit further back though, that's quite a poor lap time. He's obviously just had a bit of an issue, so we'll need to keep an eye on that. But 3 of the 4 championship protagonists are already on the front 2 rows of the grid at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Clifford there going into P5 as I try and find my cursor behind the grey sky. The Force India there up into 5th place. We've got Damien there up into P10, and looks like he's got no issues with DRS anymore as he flies down the straight there into this lovely camera angle going through turns 1 and 2 here. Absolutely fantastic camera angle there as they now head through the S's with Damien. Jump on board with Blizzard then on board as we head towards the Casio triangle, and really trying to get that turn in and optimise that final or that penultimate corner I should say of turn 17 through 18. DRS wide open then as we head down towards the first 2 corners. Then always a tricky braking zone. If you run with the braking line on like I do, it'll tell you to brake here, but actually you can brake a lot later going into this corner. You chuck the car in, it can take it, but if you obviously you're right on the limit, if you ask too much of the car, it will go and spin you out. Lambo 127.0 then from the championship leader. Great lap from him then as he looks on a quest to try and extend his lead at the top even further. We've got Lambo there, Spike there, looking to try and get out onto a set of medium tyres. So with 18 cars in the lobby, he wants to get into the top 10 on those medium tyres. He's not concerned, it seems, about getting track position in qualifying. He's more concerned about getting the strategy right.
Yeah, it would seem so, but that could be, to his advantage later on. We've seen some crazy action happen in races and some safety cars previously as well, or virtual safety cars also. So, he could easily put himself in prime position if something like that was to happen. And, there's been a history of it in real life at Suzuka where safety cars are showing up at time to time. So he could put himself in a good position if that happens, but it's going to be a tricky one if there's no safety cars. He's going to have to really make sure he's got the speed with those hardest compound tyres and get himself through to where he needs to be for the pit stop window. So it's definitely an interesting choice of strategy, but if you can make it work, it can sometimes play to your absolute benefit. Damien still complaining of no DRS. That Mercedes is certainly having trouble, and so I hope that's obviously having an effect. He's on the soft tyres, and he's 3.8 seconds down, although he did set his best lap at the moment on the mediums. So hopefully the soft tyres will give him a little bit more speed, but he's certainly going to be affected down the front straight.
Yeah, I was riding on board with Blizzard there, hoping he was going to complete a lap, but he dived into the pits for a second time. So obviously he wasn't happy with something on the car, maybe he wasn't happy with the lap, but either way, not good at all to see then. So maybe third time's the charm then, Andy, for Blizzard then. Obviously not happy, but he's used 2 sets of super soft tyres, I believe, so he might only have 1 more set of those to go to try and set a good lap time. He's obviously not concerned about the weather changing anytime soon, so maybe third time is the charm.
Well, maybe so. Obviously, if it is going to be a dry race, you see, I've just been watching Steph go P8, he's still 1.8 seconds down, but if it is a dry race, with the medium tyres being there, a one-stop should be possible to what I've seen elsewhere and looking at other people's races. So it shouldn't be too much of a problem if he's having to keep changing the tyres there, but it's quite strange to see Blizzard, who's seen as being a bit of a one-lap specialist, as you've said before, to have 2 attempts flying lap that he's bailed out on already. So he's obviously not happy with something, whether it be catching traffic at the wrong time, whether that be he's just not happy with the handling of the car, who knows, but he's certainly not happy at something as LMFC goes into P6 in the Force India. We're into the last 5 minutes of the session now, so we're going to be seeing a lot of action coming up. And again, as Clifford retires from the session in the other Force India, like some of the other places, it's that last sector. You're coming through that fast 130R and it's that slow chicane, second gear. And it's been seen before, and I've said it a couple of times in previous races, there could always end up being a traffic jam at the last minute there, and someone, at one point, someone is not going to cross the line when they've expected to.
Yeah, absolutely. You see Sean here trying to fly through turns 1 and 2. Running a little bit deep there, going into 1 on the entrance of turn 2, so that will cost him around about a couple of tenths, because that really affects your ascent up the hill here. And the S's here always provide a great challenge to the aero here. As I think, has Sean backed out of it? I'm not sure. He clips the grass there. Almost sends the car spinning. This car's very sensitive here as he chucks it into Degner 1 and then into Degner 2 on those soft tyres under the underpass as we head now towards the hairpin. Nice and tight, controlled. Focus on that exit. It cambers away from you as you accelerate. So it's really important to get the traction down as we head towards Spoon Curve. All through this right-hander, you're flat out there, and then you're dropping a couple of gears to try and chuck the car in to the first part, and then the second part of the Spoon Curve. As you can see, Damon has backed out of the lap with there's mode 0 on his ERS battery, so he's going to go for another run, I think, if he has the fuel to do it.
Yeah, it's quite possible. He's certainly got the time to do it. Spike's just got himself up into 7th place on the medium tyres. That's a pretty decent lap. Only 1.3, 1.4 seconds down on Lambo's current provisional pole time. So if he can stay in there, as well as being in the top 10 and therefore further up the grid, that could be prime position. We were just saying about that earlier on. That's a really good lap time, I would say, from the Sauber driver, and that might put him at a strategic advantage. But we're into the last couple of minutes now, and there's still quite a few drivers in the pits at the moment. It'll be interesting to see. Some of them going to just chance it at the last second, or are some of them actually going to stay in the pits feeling they can't do much more Lambos in these outlap poles and an outlap. But Jay and Squeezy are still in the pits, for example, so only 2 minutes to go. They're going to need to get a move on if they want to make a lap, especially with that last sector and the chicane. There's going to be a lot of traffic in there as people jostle for position, as Jay just heads out onto the track just now. I expect to see Squeezy out shortly. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. A minute and a half to go almost. This is going to be the crunch time now. Who has got it in the bag? Who's got that extra bit, a few tenths in the bag there to sneak it out and get into pole position possibly, or maybe even just into the top 10 depending on what tyre strategy to go for. It's crunch time, and this is where it all matters.
Absolutely, Lighty there trying to fly towards the Spoon Curve as we're sort of trying to spot drivers who are on a lap here. The Gort on an outlap in the Red Bull as he makes his way through the Casio Triangle down the hill now through the final corner to start his lap. We've got Blizzard out there. Looks like, is he on an outlap, I wonder? It's, Blizzard normally tries to leave it as late as possible, and I believe he is on an outlap. Very hard to tell from the top right hand corner, but I think he is on an outlap because it's going to take him more than 10 seconds to make his way through Sector 3 here. Sean has retired from the session, so we'll be seeing no more of Sean there. Lighty then setting a 1:27.9 and putting himself up into P5. We've got Lamba here really trying to warm up those tyres before 1:30R. And Blizzard there, 1:26.6. Blows the competition out of the water for now, puts himself on provisional pole, but remember, it's had to take him an extra lap, it looks like, to set that lap time. Is that right? Am I reading that right, or was that...
No, I think that was his first lap. So when you were saying you thought it was on his outlap, he actually had the battery turned right up to 5, hot lap mode, and he was really going for it, and right for the commitment through 130R and into the chicane. Little lock-up, but he was able to still carry the speed with it, and 4 tenths quicker as Lambo's on his last lap and coming across one of the Mercedes through the twisty S's section, but it looks like it's not hindered them for now. But as the checkered flag comes out, and Lambo's spun and he's off.
Lambo is off, and he's kept it out of the wall though, so well, that's one positive, but he will no longer be able to get pole position there. Just that mistake coming up the hill there, and it's cost Lambo a chance at pole position here. Jay, meanwhile, is going to chuck it into the Degners and hoping to keep it away from the curves. Meanwhile, Squeezy is heading towards the hairpin now. really chucking the car in there, hoping it sticks, and a lot of grip in these cars, and you're asking a lot of them when you come to the Suzuka circuit, so a lot of drivers we need to watch out for, as Poe can only go P5 for now, as Lighty backs out of the lap completely there. Did not want to set a faster lap time at all as he crosses the line there. Squeezy then making his way through Spoon Curve, and now on the way towards 130R. Blizzard has made a mistake and has retired from the session. Jay is also retired. Big chance for Squeezy here as he heads through 130R. Could he try and grab pole position? He's got a lot of time to try and find as he heads towards the Casio Triangle for his hot lap here. Heading down the hill now. Him and his teammate Ollie are the only two cars out there as Squeezy heads towards the line. It's a 126.8. It's not quite enough, but it puts him onto the front row of the grid for the Japanese Grand Prix. Ollie here, meanwhile, is the last car, I believe, to set a lap time in the other McLaren. He'll head his way down the hill. Can he make his way into the top 10? DRS wide open, and yes, he can. P7 for Ollie on a set of super soft tyres. So he puts himself onto the fourth row of the grid then. And I believe we're just waiting now for Siege to retire. There he goes, he retires. So Blizzard grabs pole position for the Japanese Grand Prix.
Yeah, phenomenal lap there from Blizzard once again, just showing his absolute quality when it comes to outright one lap pace, and if he can keep that up in the race, a bit similar to what he done in Russia, he might be able to pull away, because that 4 tenths in F1 terms, that's a light years off. Well, it was 4 tenths earlier to Lambo, but Squeezy's last minute lap bringing it down to just under 2 tenths. So there we go, Blizzard in pole, Squeezy in second, Lambo for J fourth, Poe in fifth, Lighty sixth. Ollie took that 7 for that last lap. They are all on the super soft tyres. Then it's Clifford and LMFC, the two Force Indias, 8th and 9th, and Siege in 10th, and they're on the soft tyres. Spike was dropped down to 11th, he was on the medium tyres with his fastest run. He'll have a fresh set he can choose from, as will Grote and everybody else who I've just missed out on because it's jumped in screen.
Absolutely, Spike's down in P11, so that's he'll get a fresh set of tyres, but I think that's the only optimistic thing he'll be feeling at the moment. Sometimes it's better to qualify P11 than it is P10. We've seen that previously as the cars are catapulted onto the grid there on the right hand side. At least they're there now though, given their suspension a little bit of a test, but obviously you can see the wheel in the background spinning. That big wheel, which has become iconic of the Japanese Grand Prix. I can't remember what you'd call it.
Ferris wheel.
That's the one. Why are all the words just going away from me tonight, Andy? That's not good if I'm a commentator. But yeah, so
the best of us.
But yeah, Spike down in P11 then, obviously second in the championship. He's 24 points behind Lambo. Surely he can't afford to lose any more points than he already has.
No, definitely can't afford to lose any more points, but obviously he had set his strategy to try the alternate tyres in some descriptions. He was on the medium tyres for his fastest lap, so he's obviously gone into qualifying with the thought of, I'm going to do something a bit different to the norm, and he's bang on 11th place, and he gets to pick a fresh set of tyres, and we'll just have a wee look and see who's on what tyres. So we know the top 10 are on the tyres they qualified on, so top 7 on super softs, 8th, 9th and 10th on the softs. There you can see Spike and Gort in the mediums, as is Damien in 16th, who's in the chat saying he's not feeling optimistic about this race, so he'll be hoping for something a wee bit more than his optimism he's got. But the rest outside the top 10 have gone for the soft tyres, so we've got a little bit of a mix outside the top 10. That's definitely going to make it interesting later on. It's a 27 lap race. It looks a little bit sunnier than it did in qualifying here as well, so that's going to gain, as you said, temperatures to the tyre, the carcass and everything like that's going to affect it as well. Could that then play the opposite way to those at the front on super softs? Could it work in their favour and work better? It's a complete unknown sometimes, just how the tyre will perform in the change in temperatures. As Squeezy's decided he just wants to get on with the formation lap. I remember Schumacher doing that in 1994 Silverstone. He got black flagged for it, if you remember. So that was obviously a famous moment. The quick one was, what was the other Japanese track that's ever hosted a race? You said you think you knew it, Kieran. What do you think the answer was?
Yeah, it was 1994, I believe, the Pacific Grand Prix. I can't tell you where it was hosted, but I know it was called something different, the Pacific Grand Prix.
Yeah, 1994 and 1995 Pacific Grand Prix, you're absolutely spot on. It was held at the AIDA circuit, which is a very bland, flat, boring track. A lot of drivers didn't enjoy it, and it was no surprise they only went there 2 years and never went back. But yeah, that was my little teaser for you. It's the only other track that has hosted a race in Japan, but not under the Japanese Grand Prix banner.
Well, there you go then, a little bit of trivia there from Andy, as we've come to enjoy in TTL very recently, as Blizzard on pole position then. Andy, your race winner then, you've got to pick one.
I mean, if that pace goes anything like I expect, I can't see past Blizzard, but obviously anything can happen. You've got quick drivers, a squeezy Lambo, Poe fighting over the championship. Jay's up there, he's got quick qualifying pace, as we said during qualifying. He could easily turn it on in the race now. Maybe this is his track that he's been waiting for, so it's hard to pick. I'm going to go with Blizzard. You know, his pace in Russia was brilliant, his qualifying pace is phenomenal, so I'm going to stick my neck out and go with the poleman.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. 27 laps await us for the Japanese Grand Prix, and you're watching it live on TTTV. And we are go. Light E gets a jump start, drive-through penalty straight away. But what are the starts like? The rest of them looks like the Renault of Jay there has got a fantastic start off the line. But Blizzard looks like he's going to hold the lead going through into the first couple of corners then. Looks like we've got Light E behind, so he's got a drive-through penalty. He'll have to serve that in the first 3 laps of this race. He'll now be on a huge charge here to try and make up as many positions as possible. Must have just let the clutch slip there at the wrong moment, and he's been slapped with that drive-through penalty. Looks like everybody's made it through the first couple of corners. I say that though, there's a yellow flag in sector 1, and who was that then? That's might have been Plaster, who might have got caught up somewhere. Sean meanwhile has made a position on the Gort, but they're still battling here as we head through the Degners then. The Gort down the inside for Degner 2, and he's got the position there. Sean not done with him though as we head towards the hairpin for the very first time this race. The Williams there, is he going to try and move up the inside? No, he backs out of it, but the Gort then on the medium tyres makes a crucial move on the Williams to make his way through the field then. Blizzard, as we head towards the spoon curve, leads the way. Lambo in second, Jay moving up to third, then Squeezy down to fourth after that start. Poe is in fifth, Ollie sixth, LMFC seventh, Clifford dropping to eighth after that start, Lighty ninth, yet to serve a drive-through, and Siege is 10th. That is rounding up your top 10 for the very moment.
Yeah, terrible for Lighty. He's dropped 3 places at the start as well as getting that drive through for jumping the start as well, so terrible start for the Ferrari driver. I'd expect him to come in this lap, get it out of the way as quickly as possible so that he's got the rest of the race to concentrate on. But Blizzard made a brilliant start. He had plenty of room as he went through into the first corner, and he could easily pick his line through, so brilliant start from the poleman. Jay had a good start though, as you said, jumping 2 places, but the big loser is Lighty. Despite his jump start, he lost 3 places from 6th down to 9th, and he stayed out at the moment, so he's going to try. Oh, Squeezy and Jay through the S's side by side with a touch of wheels there. That McLaren's walking again.
Oh, he's gone again! He's gone again! Jay's into the wall! And a clash of tyres there. Jay finds himself into the wall without a front wing, and Plaster's out of the session now. So further back there's trouble. So Jay finds himself virtual safety car deployed, and I'm not surprised. A little bit of debris there across the track with Plaster retiring as well. So a little bit of a calm down moment then. Obviously Lighty cannot serve his drive-through under a virtual safety car, so he's got to stay out there for the time being, and the only way we'll know that a virtual safety car is ending is when well, DRS is enabled, but obviously we're not 3 laps in yet, so we can't have that message displayed, so keep an eye on that top left hand corner. It looks like everybody's trying to accelerate away, so it looks like it's ending, and it has indeed. So we're back under green then for the Japanese Grand Prix. Lap 2 then, as it looks like LMFC has made a move on Ollie here, and he has, going through Spoon Curve. He's now up to 5th place, and at the moment scoring crucial points for Force India. They find themselves 5th and 7th. This will be a huge advantage to them if they can finish like this. Ollie's not done with them yet though, as we head towards 130R. This is not a place you want to go side by side on, I know that from experience, but here comes Ollie then towards the Casio triangle, and cars behind them will be looking at this battle ominously here, looking to try and gain position. You can see there Clifford right behind then, Lighty as well, still yet to serve his drive-through. He has to serve it this lap or he'll be disqualified from the race. But you can see then Ollie trying to go down the inside of the Force India as we head towards turn 1, and he's made the move stick on those stickier red wall tyres. He's got the move done. Ollie then up into P5, and you can see here the Force Indias might have to keep on battling here. That might not be good for their points here, but Jay, you can see, got a 5-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane, and that is that's Siege going straight up the inside of Lighty, out of seemingly nowhere to grab P8 away from the German in the Ferrari, and it looks like Lighty is struggling out there. He's lost even more positions here, as we see Steph here trying to battle with Spike. Spike's now up to P9, so it's mixed fortunes there for Spike. Of course, he started in P11, so he's up 2 positions, but remember, he's on the medium tyres, trying to play the long game then, as we're riding on board with LMFC then, as we head through the hairpin.
Yeah, frantic stuff, and Dre just getting caught out. Obviously, a touch of wheels through the S's with Squeezy, and then there was another touch as he came towards the last part before the hill, and it was just spun the Renault round. Be interesting to hear what comments are afterwards in regards to that one. Squeezy involved in wars once again, just like he was in Monza the Onyx, but Dre then compounded the misery by speeding in the pit lane as well. So he's going onto the soft tyres, so he's going to have to try and make them last to the end of the race somehow, considering that he's had to pit so early. It was such a shame after a great start, jumping a number of places from his 5th place starting position, as Blizzard is trying to get himself out of DRS range from Lambo, because this is now, DRS obviously is enabled now, and the licence. Squeezy got by the inside there, I think, on Lambo into turn 1. I've just missed it myself, but he is through. Lambo still trying to fight it off though, as they go through the S's and pose right there. The 3 of the 4 championship protagonists are fighting over the one piece of tarmac as they come up through the S's into Dunlop curve, but Squeezy's got himself back into 2nd place, having lost 2nd place at the start. But Blizzard is now out of DRS range, and he'll be trying to pull away as much as possible, but that McLaren will be looking to reel the Sauber in, because he needs as many points as possible to try and close that gap to Lambo in the championship, and he's not going to do much of it if he's only 1 place ahead.
Yeah, he's 28 points behind Lambo in the championship standings, and well, Squeezy's just got it all to do now. He will have that instant looming over his head though. Whether the stewards will do anything after the race is another question, but we'll leave that to them. That's why we have the official, unofficial results at the end of the race. Meanwhile, he's just got to keep his head down and keep pushing there. It was a bit of a lunge on Lambo then going into the first couple of corners, but he made it stick. Lambo ran wide as well, so that gave him a little bit of more of an advantage heading down the inside. He's got P2 for now though, and Lambo in 3rd. Ho is in 4th. LMFC, meanwhile, right on the back of Squeezy's teammate, Ollie, as the McLarens here are running 2nd and 5th. So it's a good day so far for McLaren. Meanwhile, the Force Indias here, in desperate need of points, are running 6th and 7th. So good day for the Force Indias right now, but there's still a long way to go then. McLaren doing really well at the moment in their Constructors battle. They are 3rd place right now, separated by 22 points. And of course, 22 points in a Constructors battle isn't a lot at all. They're still very much in the fight then, with only a couple of races to go. As you can see, LMFC just has much better grip through the S's here than Ollie does. Even with the dirty air, it just seems like LMFC is just able to follow him through the S's then, as we head up the hill now towards the Degners then, through this left-hander, and now to the double right-hander of the Degners then. Through Degner 1 we go, and then through Degner 2 you could see both drivers there following each other as they both went onto the grass. Here we come to the hairpin. Are we about to see a lunge up the inside from LMFC? No, we're not, and he holds position for now, but look at that Force India of Clifford right behind LMFC, ready to take advantage. It's probably over the team radio now, trying to say let me through, but he's not going to do it like that. He's into the wall.
Oh, he's off.
Oh, he's lost his front wing. Clipped that grass on the outside. He's clipped his front wing, and that is going to be a pit stop needed to be made. He wanted to run longer on the soft tyres, but Andy, it's gone horribly wrong for him.
Going horribly wrong, just caught the grass by the looks of it. I think all his tyres must be going off, because he's got a train behind him now. As here goes LMFC into 130. Oh, this is going to be brave, but he's got the move done already. Forces the McLaren to take a little bit of the AstroTurf, but the Force India through cleanly. And I think all his tyres may be going off, because there's a train of soft runners behind him, apart from LMFC now, of course. So I'm just wondering if that's maybe why he's struggling on the tyres. As there he goes, yeah, he's losing ground as well, because here comes Siege up the inside, despite the DRS being open. He's trying to try the outside line, but it's a very fast hinge into turn 1, and the McLaren holds on for now, but I think his tyres are maybe going off. That's the only thing. Siege has now got the outside. They're going to be side by side through the S's, but he backs out at the Williams, and the Sauber of Spike is just behind, and he'll need to keep his nose clean, because he needs the points obviously. The championship battle, here we go, side by side going up through this the last part of the S-season again, nearly wheel touching, but Ollie is really struggling at this point. The car's all over the place, and these three behind are desperate to get past. Siege at the front of it, Spike in there as well, and you've got Steph in the Mercedes just behind, so Ollie really struggling at this point. I would not be surprised to see him pit at the end of this lap or within at least the next lap or two.
But the thing about Ollie is that the longer he stays out and the longer he keeps these cars behind them, the better his chances of staying ahead of them later on in this race. So it's a game of trying to defend this position for now, but you can see how many cars are behind him ready to take that position away from him just when the moment is right. As you can see there, Ollie running a little bit wide, and Siege and Ollie are going to be side by side, surely not, going through 130R. I haven't got really a good camera to see it from. Here's a good camera. As we see now, I think Ollie, no, he's just about not got the speed there. As look at this, Spike now trying to go up the inside there, as there comes Steph out of pretty much nowhere. Spike having to go around the outside, going through the Casio triangle. He's got the inside line for the final corner, and Ollie runs onto the grass a little bit. Here we go through the DRS, and you can see now here Steph trying to take advantage of Spike's slipstream here, and he's down the inside. Is he going to try and stick it up the inside going into turn one? No, he backs out of it, but Ollie now has lost a lot of ground. He's now down to P9 in the space of a straight.
Yeah, I thought Steph was going to have the two of them there for a second. That would have been a brave move, but Spike managing to get the move done. Better traction on those medium tyres, and that's good for his race because he's obviously going to be running very long, but Ollie is going backwards at the moment. I'm trying to see if he's maybe got any damage at all possibly, but if he did, I'd be surprised if he hasn't pitted. Everything looks okay on that McLaren, but he is heading backwards, which is what makes me think tyres are going off. If he had been able to keep them back, it could have been good later on in the race, but now that he's behind them, I think now's the time for that McLaren to pit and get on a fresh set of rubber to try and go to the end of the race. But up front, it's still the top four as it was the last time we looked, but Lambo is still trying to catch up to Squeezy. These three, Squeezy, Lambo and Poe, are very evenly paced. It's really, really close between them, and when you look at their lap times, Poe's done a 31.8 and Squeezy and Lambo are 32.1 and 32.2, so they're all pretty close to each other. Fastest lap at the moment is Jay, obviously, as Lambo looks to the outside, then to the inside, but nope, gets back on the brakes and pulls back in. He's going to try and slipstream down, and all this battling is letting LMFC and the Force India catch up to this as well. Yellow flag in sector 3, but it's disappeared, so it's back up now, so I wonder what's going on there. But yeah, Lambo down the straight, and he's not able to get close enough. And that McLaren has obviously got maybe a low downforce setup on it possibly, because it's pretty quick even without the DRS. He probably had the battery turned up as well, and Ollie is in the pits finally. I wasn't surprised to see that, having dropped back those 3 places.
Yeah, that yellow flag you were talking about, Andy, was Steph there, dropping a load of positions, not entirely sure why, just cut off to him just slowly on the track, just coming towards the Casio triangle. But if you saw Belgium in Season 8 that we premiered yesterday, you would have seen the Gort and Mays here, teammates once upon a time. They have a massive amount of respect for each other, and they normally occupy the same bit of track, especially 3 seasons ago, and 3 seasons have passed, and it looks like the same thing has come true. Both still in good contention of each other. The Gorts managing to pull in away though very slightly, even on a set of medium tyres. Steph though coming to terms with that front wing damage as well, so he's got to nurse that car home if he wants to make those soft tyres last and get good pace on them. But you were talking about this battle for second. LMFC has joined the battle here, and he's on the set of soft tyres, and you can see how much better grip they have as he dispatches Poe really easily then, running onto the AstroTurf on the outside there, but he's up a position now, and are the soft tyres the better race tyre here?
It certainly seems so at the moment. LMFC is finding brilliant pace, brought himself into this battle with him battling as Squeezy goes into the pits and gets a 5-second stop goal for speeding in the pit lane as well. LMFC now going to try and go at Lambo into turn 1, nose to tail, but no, we can't do it this time round. So Squeezy, the first of the leaders to pits, and he has gone on to the medium tyre, so he's definitely going to be running to the end of the race with that. But LMFC is having a brilliant race for the Force India, and right now, at the moment, he is only about 2.5 seconds off the lead as Lighty gets another penalty. The goalie's drive through from early. There goes LMFC. Lambo getting a bit sideways in the way out of the Dunlop curve, round the outside, and LMFC, brilliant move again, and he is now up into second place, and with the soft tyres he is in prime position, so he's not far off the lead of the Blizzard, and these super softs are soon going to be going off and coming into the pits. There's only 3 of them left, and it's first, third and fourth, so I'm expecting a bit of pit stop action very shortly from them. But LMFC, brilliant passing into 130R and the outside of Degner. He's made himself up to P2. He's made 7 places up from his starting position. Brilliant stuff in the early part of the race from him.
Absolutely. I was just about to say that, Andy. He's up 7 positions with that move made on Lambo, but he made that move look so easy there, but that was far from the easiest thing at all there. But he's now closing in on Blizzard at a fair rate of knots here. 2 seconds exactly is the gap as he passed through that last mini sector. It was 2.5 seconds as he makes his way through the Casio triangle as Blizzard, race leader, comes into the pits then, trying to break for that limiter line. Squeezy made that very late dart into the pits, and it cost him because he's got himself a 5-second stop go. So Blizzard then looks like he's going to try and go onto a set of medium tyres. Is that the case? The Sauber crew put on a set of medium tyres, do they? And I think they do. Yes, they do. So
Lambo and Poe have done the same as well.
So that leaves LMFC then to take the lead of the race in the Force India. Siege is in second there, but it's interesting, Spike in third then on a set of medium tyres. So he's doing well out there. Started 11th, now up to third, and he's got a lot of running left on those medium tyres. So we'll see how he does in the remainder of the race then. Obviously, depending on what tyres he wants to go on, you know, I would think he's going to go onto a set of soft tyres. I don't think he's going to go onto a set of super softs because if I know Spike, he's rather against going onto the massively soft tyre, or the softest tyre you can get, because it wears out so quickly. But I've been wrong before as Clifford's out. Clifford is out of the race. Now what's happened here? We've got yellow flags going through the S's, and he's lost it into the wall. On the left-hand side there, that is turn number 5, I think. But yeah, so Clifford then, one of the Force Indias, out of the race, and I was saying that it could have been a good point haul for the Force Indias here. Well, one of them is now out of the race. We're just going to jump on board with Squeezy then very quickly as he dispatches Mays then on a fresh set of medium tyres. He's now up into P7. Blizzard there rejoining in P6, and Squeezy is going to try and reel him in now, so that should be an interesting battle if Squeezy can make anything of it. The Gort then going down the inside of 130R, and he makes the move on Sean before the move is even... or before the corner's even complete, I should say. But Sean tries to make it a little bit of a battle, but couldn't quite stick it down the inside. Sean drops to 5th place as Siege pits in and goes on to a set of medium tyres.
Yeah, pit stop action all about. Good move from Gort there, getting it done before 130R and still managing to get through the corner well as Siege pits. So at the moment, if we look at it in terms of stops, Blizzard is still technically provisional P1s. He's the first person that's stopped, top 4 still to make a pit stop. But it's again, when are they going to make that pit stop? Especially for Spike on the medium tyres. He's in, for me, I think he's in a really, really good position if he can make them last. And even if he goes on to the softs at the end of the race, as you're saying, he prefers not to go for the softest tyre. They're going to be fresher than everyone around them by quite a considerable margin, I would imagine. So it's still going to be good. It's almost going to be like... from the Brazilian Grand Prix, we've seen Verstappen go into the softs and he was just able to carry on. He'd done it in Mexico as well, and so it's going to be interesting to see where this leads out. But it's still LMFC, it's 4.5 seconds clear, so he's got himself a good gap, and he's going to need that because he'll be pitting it before long, within the next 5 laps I would imagine. Spike in second though I think is in a really good position. I'm just trying to see, pit stops take around about 20 seconds from in and out. So at the moment he'd fit back in somewhere around where Squeezy is 6th, 7th, 8th somewhere. If he was to pit any time soon, I would imagine him to come out there right in the middle of that battle. It could be very interesting as we get later on into the race.
Absolutely. Just watching this battle here between Poe and Lambo. Lambo initially wanted to try and get past his teammate Z3, going through... Oh, he's run wide again. He's run too deep. But he wanted to initially get past his teammate going into turn 1. He ran wide and gave up the position to Poe here. Now Poe then quickly dispatched of Z3 coming out of the hairpin and then coming towards 130R. Mays there didn't quite battle him. So Poe then moves up into P7, and Lambo has had a horror lap here and he'll want to regain that focus then. He's dispatched his teammate. He's got Mays in front of him, and he won't want to let Poe get too far up the road. The championship leader there, not having the greatest lap in the world, but he'll want to put that straight behind him as Siege closes in on his teammate then for P10.
Yeah, and unfortunately someone else that didn't have a great lap there was Jay down in 15th. That's what the yellow flag was for. Lost it coming out of Spoon and was facing the wrong way up the straight. Done about a 16-point turn to get it facing the right way again. And he is back into the pits as well just now, but not good. And he's retired from the race. That's such a shame after a great start as well. But he is out of the race now as Lambo's got past Mays. So he is now back into 8th place and trying to chase down Pole one more time. But horrible race from Jay, obviously getting caught out in that incident with Squeezy, which we'll obviously need to see what the drivers say about that. And then obviously got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane as well, and everything to go with it. So not the greatest of races for him, as we've got movement up front because LMFC is into the pits, and Blizzard has got himself past Sean and up to 4th place. We also see Sean fly into the pits as well. So Blizzard back up to 4th place now. And he's now going to go chasing after Gort and Spike, who are the only two still to pit, running on the medium tyres. Lap 13, just approaching the half-distance mark now, and it's still anybody's guess who's going to win this squeeze. It's really close to Blizzard as well. He's made a lot of time up in the pit stop phase by pitting that lap earlier with the fresher tyres. He's made up quite a bit of time there to Blizzard, so it's a good time for him. Poe and Lambo will have fell back, and LMFC, as I say, has dropped into 5th place after his pit stop, so that is pretty good for him. He's right ahead of both Poe and Lambo. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting finish to the race. Spike leads at the moment, but he's still got to make his pit stop, as has Gort in 2nd in the Red Bull.
Absolutely. Not sure what entirely happened to Ollie there, but Sean has found a way through. Ollie losing that back end there. I wonder if he's got some sort of overheating problem there, so he might have spun the car around, and he needs to cool those tyres, which is not an easy thing to do around such a high cornering circuit. Poe here looks like he's trying to set up a move on LMFC. Also, we're trying to watch that gap between Maze and Siege and jump on board if it gets too close. But we see here Poe into the slipstream on LMFC. He goes, he's going to try down the inside of it. 130. Oh no, he doesn't. LMFC runs wide, expecting that move to be made, but Poe doesn't quite make it though. Maze here has been passed by Siege then, so Siege now up into 8th place, and Squeezy here is going to try and close in on Blizzard here as we head towards turns 1 and 2. 2/10 is the gap, and Squeezy is on a charge here, really closing that gap between himself and Blizzard, with LMFC only 3 seconds back from those two. And if LMFC can just find a little bit of pace here that he had in the early stint in this Grand Prix, he has a good chance here of grabbing a podium.
A very good chance of grabbing a podium. He seems to have some brilliant pace around here, and at the moment, with those currently around him, he's got a couple of laps fresher tyres from having started on the softs, so he's in a really good position as well. Spike at the moment still leads in the mediums, and based on pit stop times, I would expect him at the moment to drop in just behind Lambo in 7th, possibly ahead of him depending on what he can do in the next few laps, so he's going to be right back up and amongst his championship rivals as well. But at the moment Squeezy's trying to chase down Blizzard, but Blizzard's just managed to break the DRS range now, and that could be a chance. And here's Blizzard actually getting a brilliant run out of Spoon Corner on the Red Bull of Gort, running up towards 130R. They're both in medium tyres, but Blizzard's are much fresher, and he gets the moves done well before 130R pulls back onto the racing line. Will the Red Bull have a go up the inside? I very much doubt it, because his tyres are much older. And Blizzard up into 2nd. Spike is 12.5 seconds up the road, so the Salvas are at 1-2 at the moment, but Spike is still to pit. He started on the medium tyres. I'm keeping an eye on the gap between him and where Lambo and that are to see where he'll drop into as well. So, the Mercedes off at the side there as well. I think it was Damien just coming out of pit lane. Yeah, he was just staying out of the way because of the yellow flag. I just caught it, I thought he'd crashed as leaders came through. So Poe's trying to catch up with LMFC, chasing them through the S's at the moment. But Blizzard now on his way, already took in half a second out of Spike in the first sector there. Fantastic time from him. And I expect to see Spike in very soon as well. I don't see him staying out too much longer on those tyres. They're bound to be getting towards the end of their useful life. Now yellow flag in sector 1 as Damien retires from the race. try and see if we can see what happened, if he's just pulled off to the side or not. So we've got 4 retirements: Plaster, Clifford, Jay and Damien. And we've got 14 runners still. Lap 15 we're on, and 27. Still a long way to go in this race though.
Absolutely. Well, Lighty here is currently down in P12. He's had penalties in this race, that's for sure. He had a drive-through at the very start, which he served on lap 3. He's also had a 5-second stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So it's not been a great day for Lighty. But as Spike pits in on lap number 15, we'll see him now. So what tyres will he go on to? I'm expecting Spike to go on to a set of soft tyres here, because 10 laps on super softs is not really going to work. And yeah, the tyres that go on are soft tyres indeed, so he'll be able to get those easily to the end of the race. But let's see if your prediction is right then.
Squeezy up the inside into turn 1 on the Gort. Brilliant move. Sorry to cut across the Kieran. That was a brilliant move there from the McLaren driver. Stuck it up the inside into turn 1 on the Red Bull. Fresher tyres made it a lot easier as well. And he's now up into 2nd place and can go chasing back after Blizzard. But a lovely move there from the McLaren. Just got it up the inside and he is now in 2nd place.
Don't worry about cutting across me. Whatever you were watching was so much more interesting than what I was going to say. I was just going to say, Andy, that Spike has rejoined in P7 exactly where you said he would. So, I'm guessing you got bits of telemetry that I'm not seeing.
I'm just picking up on things, that's all.
Well, Squeezy then up into P2, ahead of the Gort then, who has been on those tyres. He's the only person out on track, I believe. No, actually, Maze there has still yet to stop. Incredibly, though, he's done 15 laps on a set of soft tyres. That is incredible. Incredible from Maze, how he's managed to keep those tyres in good nick. Currently running in P9, so that's amazing work so far from Maze. But surely those tyres will be crying out to him to be changed at some point.
Oh, any longer they'd be down to the carcass before long. Gort's surely going to be in the pits because he's starting to lose quite a bit of time now. We've got LMFC and Poe coming right up behind him. He carries on for another lap. Can the Force India make the move down towards turn 1? He's going to have the DRS advantage as well. So it's the Red Bull though, because he's still within a second of Squeezy, so not on this lap, and it still carries on. So Gort's putting himself in a position to kind of upset the apple cart for the meantime, and that could allow Blizzard and Squeezy to disappear, but Squeezy's not able to get up the road as far as I was expecting after making that move. So maybe initially you could see Blizzard's not far ahead. He was just going through Dunlop curve there. Certainly on my screen anyway, as Ollie makes a move on Sean. In fact, Sean's dropping down the order quite quickly. What's happened to the Mercedes Williams? No, he's just lost 2 places down the straight, so thought it maybe been an incident there. But yeah, I expect Gort to be in soon. Here comes LMFC up the inside. Oh, they're nearly touching. He's just managed to avoid it on the power. He's going to have better traction surely, but he got sideways and the Red Bull holds on to 3rd for now. This is allowing Squeezy to get away, and Poe is right behind the Force India. We've seen quite a few moves into Spoon in the real race in the Japanese Grand Prix. Vettel obviously made a mess of it. Poe decides better off it on this occasion, but this is where the action is at the moment. 3rd, 4th and 5th. Gort on 16 lap old mediums. Here comes the Force India up towards 130R. Be another brave move. He's done it round the outside already, this time down the inside. Move's done before the corner, and he is just about through. His Poe's going to try the inside on the Red Bull as well, and could lose 2 places here, the Red Bull driver. He manages to hold off the Renault, but I think those tyres, and yes, he's dived into pit lane, those tyres have screamed enough. So at the moment, Maze has managed to make soft tyres last longer. Lambo and Poe though, down the front straight. Spike sets the fastest lap. He's catching up to these guys, and let's see the camera angle. Yes, no, Poe manages to hold. He's got the move done actually, sorry, Lambo was ahead there. So Lambo losing another place, and Poe is ahead now. The camera angle just deceived me for a bit. And the Gort goes on to super soft tyres, so you might not have seen the last of him, because he's only around about 20 odd seconds, so he could still upset some of the points here before the end of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm wondering here, Maze can't survive on those tyres for much longer, surely, but yeah, wouldn't be surprised if I see those tyres into the 90% range at some point this race. But as Alan Kay was saying in the chat though, now he could go onto a set of super soft tyres. Now the only problem with that is that with these soft tyres wearing away, he's losing much more time than the car behind him, the Gort was, on a set of mediums. Now these two were occupying the same bit of track a few laps ago now. They're on the same bit of track now, but one of them has to make a pit stop.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. He's certainly going to be in the pits before long. Jay in the chat as well, he's obviously retired from the race we mentioned earlier, and this is his words, quote, "I got completely taken out by Squeezy," so it'll be interesting. I don't think we've heard the last of that one from that earlier incident between the McLaren and the Renault. I'm currently watching the scrap for P3, 4 and 5 though, as I know that Gort's managed to get past Maisie. I'm not surprised though, but I'm watching 3, 4 and 5, which is LMFC, Po and Lambo, as they're all within DRS range of each other coming down the main straight, but they all seem to have similar pace at the moment. And it'll be interesting to see if someone can just find that extra bit. But they're only about 5 seconds off the lead. Blizzard's not disappeared into the distance like I expected, but he is still leading at the moment. 2.5 seconds from Squeezy. Steph picks up a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. LMFC, you just see him going through the picture on the Red Bull, Force India, sorry, he's in 3rd. Renault off Po in 4th, Lambo 5th, and Spike is in 6th, only 2.2 off of this one, and Lambo's just picked up a 3-second time penalty as well. So this is going to get interesting towards the end of the race. Ollie's another one. He's a bit further down, just in the cusp of the top 10. But penalties, again, like they usually do, are going to have an interesting factor come the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think Lambo knows here that he doesn't have to win this race. He knows that he's got the advantage to the next driver, which is 24 points between himself and Spike. So it's 25 if you're looking at Po. So an entire race win difference between himself and Po. I think he's going to try a little bit of a smart drive here, and knows that he doesn't have to finish in front of Po in this race, especially if he's had not the greatest race in the world. He'll still be leading the championship as we head towards the next Grand Prix in the USA.
Yeah, it's definitely a sensible option if you've got that much of a lead in the championship. I'm sure if he gets half a sniff at that Renault though, he'll try and get it up the inside if he feels he can do it without any damage being occurred. But yeah, he's definitely got the advantage that he can play the percentage game a lot more than some of his rivals towards the end of this championship. As you say, after today, next round, the US Grand Prix is Gort. Sets the fastest lap, 1 minute 30.4. We've got a US Grand Prix, Mexico, Brazil and Abu Dhabi, so there's only 4 races left after this. And obviously Lambo won't want to play the percentage game too much, just in case he has a bad race. But he's certainly got the slight luxury of being able to do that, as you say. But this is still the closest battle on track. 3rd, 4th and 5th. Spike's not too far back, as I say, in 6th. And Squeezy's not too far in front of this lot as well. So there's still plenty to go. It's lap 20 of 27. Z3, who is just running in 13th at the moment, gets a 3-second time penalty as well. Alan in the chat mentioning obviously the softs can do 20 laps, but he was saying that it's a brilliant drive from Mays because he's obviously a pad user, which even I didn't know. And obviously I've tried it on the pad. I've got a wheel, I've tried it on the pad. The pad this year is absolutely horrific, in my opinion. I used to play on the pad myself in previous years, but this season I cannot get to grips with it. So it's a brilliant drive from Mays to do that long. Even if he is now currently running last, he's got the super softs on that car. He's dropped her down a wee bit, so I wonder if he's maybe had a spin somewhere. But still a good run in the soft tyres though, to run that long and still be inside the top 10. So great stuff from him regardless.
Absolutely. Well, a couple of battles we're being treated to right now. Steph here is trying to get onto the back of Sean for the battle for P11 as we head towards 130R. We'll fly through it now as Sean goes a little bit wide onto the AstroTurf as we now head towards the Casio Triangle. Very close between them then, almost wheel bashing there, but they somehow don't make contact. And then through the last corner, surely Steph has prioritised his exit here. He'll have the DRS. Now into the slipstream he goes. He can see Ollie in the distance there, just down the main straight as he now pulls to the right hand side to go up the inside into turns 1 and 2. Steph has the move done there, and now we can try and chase down Ollie, who's only 2.2 up the road. But Sean here looks like he's not done just yet, as he wants to have a go through turns 3, 4, 5 and 6. Not really an overtaking opportunity, but he wanted to stick behind him. Steph though holds true and takes P11 away from Sean here. He's now 1.9 behind Ollie here, so Steph has a good chance of scoring some points here if he can keep this pace up.
Yeah, he's got a couple of laps over Ollie on the tyres as well, and we've seen that McLaren struggling during this race for what looks like tyre wear to me. So obviously that it's Ollie's car really eating the tyres up, I would say. I'm sure he'll maybe correct me if I'm wrong later on, of course. But good move down the front straight from Steph. DRS got it done, and he can hopefully now, for his sake, pull away from Sean and go after that final points paying position of P10, which is held by Ollie, as you say. But third, fourth and fifth are still nose to tail coming through turn one, and Squeezy is not far up the road, and Spike has dropped back a little bit. He's now 3.2 seconds back, so I don't know if he's maybe decided to play a bit of a percentage game of some description, or he's had a wee trip somewhere, but he's dropped back a little bit. But these three are still nose to tail. But the way this track is, as much as the drivers all love it, and it's a famous track, legendary track, there's certain parts you just got to follow the car in front, especially through the S's, and if it goes wrong, as we've seen with Squeezy and Jay earlier on, it can usually cause an accident. But I don't think we're done here yet, but it's been a great drive from LMFC in that Force India. Made up a number of places, 6 in total from where he started. He's the biggest gainer in this race, and he's currently occupying that final podium position, and his tyres are 3 laps younger than Poe and Lambo, so he's definitely got the tyre advantage over the cars around him. Does he have the speed advantage to the end of the race as well, though?
Yeah, absolutely. As Blizzard at some point now will start the 23rd lap of the Japanese Grand Prix, and we start the countdown to 5 laps to go. Meanwhile, the Renault here of Poe is looking down the inside, but he has to back out of it. LMFC though loses the car, and that's going to invite Lambo to try and have a go here as we now head down the main straight. Once again, LMFC won't have DRS. He's got a little bit of a bad exit here as we run on board with Poe. Then he's going to be side by side with him as they head towards turn 1. He's going to be round the outside. Round the outside he goes, front's a little bit wide, and still LMFC was trying to go up the inside there, but somehow Poe held on around the outside, and he's made a move for the final podium position. LMFC though is nowhere near done with that, and Lambo here will be even more frustrated because he's now losing even more points to Poe now, which is something he didn't want to do.
Absolutely fantastic move there from the Renault driver. How he held on to that on the exit of turn 1 while downshifting for turn 2, I do not know. He was right up on the curb using every bit of the track limits possible, and he got the move done. Good driving from both of them though, because that could easily have turned into a huge accident at some point. But Poe now through into third. LMFC, as you say though, is not done. Lambo's now going to have to try and do something to try and reduce that points gap between the two of them, to try and keep it as best as possible. But Poe will be hoping to try and catch up to Squeezy in his last few laps of the race. Blizzard out front though, still 2.7 clear. He looks like he's just pacing it up front, he's keeping an eye on the tyres, a bit like what he done in Russia on Thursday night, and he's just pacing it, I would say now. But Squeezy is still within a 2-second range, so one mistake from the leader as Lambo's going for the inside line on LMFC, and he's got it done at the moment. But the LMFC's now got the inside line, and who's got the run? And Lambo's got it done, and he'll get DRS for good measure as well. LMFC will also have it too, being close enough to Poe. But Lambo now through into fourth. Good move late on the brakes up the inside into the chicane, and he can now go chase after his championship rival one more time.
4 laps to go then. Blizzard still leads the way. 1.5 seconds separates himself and Squeezy. Squeezy will be looking to try and score all 25 points to shorten that gap at the top there. Of course, he is running in 4th in the championship. As we keep saying though, the standings have been and the races have been won by the top 4 championship rivals. The only time they haven't was the British Grand Prix and the Russian Grand Prix, both won by Blizzard. Every other race has either been won by Lambo, Spike, Squeezy or Poe. So it's an impressive reading, and it just shows how quick these 4 are at certain tracks and how close that championship has been throughout.
Yeah, absolutely is indeed, showing that they're brilliant in what they're doing. They're showing it really well and how quick they can be, and I wouldn't be surprised if this goes all the way down to Abu Dhabi at this rate, to be honest with you. But still got a few laps to go now, 24 to 27. We're coming up to start 3 from home, and Poe is still in 3rd place at the moment, but Lambo's not far behind. Squeezy though, 1.2 seconds behind Blizzard. So Blizzard's lost about a second in that lap, so that's an interesting one to take note. So as I said when I last spoke, he was 2.2 clear, and I thought he was pacing it. But here goes Lambo, he's got a great run out the last corner, DRS. Poe is going to be using all the battery, but if Toro Rosso's got it done before turn 1, and that is now Lambo up into the final podium position and making sure he's got even more of a points gap over Paul if he was to stay there. That was a move that he wanted to get done, and he's made it stick for the meantime, but Paul will be coming back for him before long, and there's still a couple of times down into turn 1 to go and a few times down into the Casio chicane as well. I would not be surprised if we see a last lap lunge down into those Casio chicane on this one, Kieran.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lambo in this position will be extending his lead at the top of the championship, but the new man in second place would be Poe. Spike could be dropping down to 4th place if he's not careful. He's 5.2 behind LMFC here, so he could go from second in this race down to around about 3rd or 4th place come the end of it. So he's got to keep his nerve in here. 5.4 the gap is now, but I don't know. Spike has. There's no way to describe it. He's going through a rough patch at the moment on those soft tyres. You would think that he's able to try and close the gap, but maybe he's talked about keeping those tyres in the optimal temperature range, especially in Singapore. Maybe he's having the same issue at Japan here with such a high corner circuit as Blizzard there sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:30.1. That's on a set of 16 lap old medium tyres. He's gone faster than the Gort did on a set of new super softs. That's absolutely incredible.
He's just showing off now. He's probably listening to this at the moment, realised I've noticed the gap going down to 1.2 and gone, okay, there we go then. And he's just turned the battery up and gone, bang, there you go. Put the gap back up by a second, and that's, if he can keep it on the track, he'll probably be able to get to the finish line now, but it's not over behind him, and obviously even one mistake could make the difference. Steph has now got the final point. He's passed Ollie down the front straight on this lap under DRS, got it done well before turn 1, and the Mercedes is now ahead of that McLaren, so Ollie now out of the points, and I've got to say, for it looks like he's been struggling all race with the tyres, and it's not been the greatest of race for the second McLaren. His teammates up in second at the moment. Lambo in third though, is obviously, he wants to stay there, but Poe is going to try and hunt him down, and we're on to the penultimate lap, so there's not much time left for anyone to make a move. And as I say, I would not be surprised if we see a lunge into the last corner, and I don't think Poe's got any penalties, but Lambo's got at least 3 seconds.
Well, we'll have to see as they cross the line how their positions change. At the moment, though, Z3 there setting the fast lap of the race there, 1:29.9. So his teammate, sorry, not teammate. That's what was last time out. I think Blizzard was racing in a Toro Rosso, but well, I know they're good friends, those two. And for Z3 to take away the fast lap from Blizzard, he will not be happy about that.
No, probably not, but just to show you again just how quick that lap time was from Blizzard, it's only 2/10 quicker that lap from Z3 on a 2-lap old Supersofts compared to the mediums that are 17 laps, or 16 laps when he done it, from Blizzard. But we're now on the final lap of the race. He's got 2.8 seconds at the moment over Squeezy, who's 2 seconds, I can just see him up the road here, so riding on board with a Renault off pole. And so the top 2, if they can keep it there, should be okay. But the battle here is over 3rd, 4th. LMFC's dropped off a little bit in 5th, but I am convinced, I know that Lambo has got 3 seconds, and I don't think I've seen Poe's name pop up at any point, so we'll have to wait till they cross the line, as you say. But Lambo might not have done enough here, and Poe might be able to gain some points back on the championship leader, and that'll be good for Squeezy as well, who's just obviously up ahead in second place if he is to stay there, obviously dependent on penalties. But we're coming up to the last couple of corners now with Blizzard.
Absolutely, and well, it's not quite led all the way, but he's done everything in between. Pole position, not quite fastest lap, only 2/10 off though, as he makes his way through the Casio triangle for the last time. Z3 retires from the session though, as Blizzard makes his way around the final corner. He'll take his 3rd win of the season here in Japan. Blizzard wins the Japanese Grand Prix. Squeezy there comes across the line in 2nd, but he has an unserved 5-second stop-go penalty. That promotes Poe to P2, Lambo P3. So Squeezy's now down to P4, as LMFC will finish in P5. Spike there in 6th place. Siege will now come across the line. He's going to finish in 7th place. The Gort then coming around the Casio triangle as a reserve in this race will come across the line to grab 8th place here at the Japanese Grand Prix. Lighty had that drive-through penalty very early on in this race, and well, he just let the clutch slip at the wrong moment, and he'll come home here to grab 2 points for himself and for Ferrari. As Steph here now making his way around the final few corners. He's just about held onto that car then as he makes his way towards the line. He'll grab 10th place away from Ollie then, who finishes in 11th place. Sean will come across the line. He'll grab 12th place, and Mays coming towards the Casio Triangle. Well, he may not have had that lightning stint that he wanted, but 20 laps on a set of soft tyres is quite some achievement. But your winner of the Japanese Grand Prix is Blizzard.
Yeah, brilliant race there from Blizzard. Obviously Squeezy finishing second on the road but dropping the fourth with penalties. Obviously you say it yourself, the official unofficial results, and here they'll be up in a moment once we see the podium celebrations. But Poe's obviously gained a few points on Lambo. Now we jump into second. I knew I'd seen Lambo having a 3-second penalty, so that part didn't surprise me, but I forgot that Squeezy had a penalty as well. Obviously didn't serve it in the pit stops, but again, you never know. He's had a bit of an incident, of course, with Jay. Some of the penalties the drivers might feel were unjust and unreasonable, so it's obviously never over until the stewards have had a look at it if need be. But your winner is definitely Blizzard. That's an absolute definite fact.
Absolutely, he takes his third win of the season as a reserve in this league. So Blizzard takes the race win. Poe in second, Lambo in third, Squeezy fourth, LMFC fifth. Great drive from him in the Force India. Spike in sixth, Siege in seventh, The Gore in eighth, Lighty in ninth, Steph rounding up the top 10. In 11th is Ollie, Sean in 12th, Mays in 13th, Z3 losing control of the car around the final corner. He will not finish, as with Damien, Jay, Clifford and Plaster all not finishing the race. What it means then is Lambo may not have extended his lead at the top of the table, but he holds on to the lead of the championship, heading towards the final 4 races now. So not long of the season left to go, and there's still 4 people in this title hunt. I'm very much looking forward to it, Andy.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolutely brilliant end to the season for sure, and any one of them could take the win, obviously. But Lambo's got the prime position still at the top of the standings, but Poe's obviously gained himself a couple of points. It's only 3, but it all adds up at the end of the day. One bad weekend for Lambo with no score and Poe taking a win, and that's wiped out, and Lambo dropping the lead to Poe. So it can turn around in a hurry very, very quickly. But there's some good battling out there. LNFC had a brilliant race, I think. I'm going to actually stick my neck in and say that I think he was my driver of the day, coming up from, I think it was 9th on the grid he came from. Some brilliant passes into 130R and through the outside of the Degner curves as well. But yeah, this championship is far from over, but as you say, it is Blizzard, his 3rd win of the season as a reserve.
Absolutely. Well, this ends the stream, or the race stream part of it. Andy and myself will give the drivers a chance to cool down, and we will join you for Commentators Corner, where we'll reflect on the race. It would just give us a chance to basically advertise to you other league races. So if you're not going to join us for Commentators Corner, well, you can join us for the US Grand Prix in Austin, Texas. That would be Thursday, stream starting at around about 5 to 8 GMT. You can also, on Friday, join our very own Steph, who scored a point today. He is on TTFL. He's on the commentary box there, so join him for that one. We've also got on Sunday TTL F2 as they wind down on their championship. We've got 2 25% races, the same races as TTL F1 this week. Japan and USA, you can have those on Sunday back to back. And then if you missed Monday, or yesterday I should say, the TTL Classics, have a look at that, the Belgian Grand Prix of season number 8, where one Squeezy made his debut to the TTL scene. I wonder what happened to him in the coming seasons. But if you're leaving us now, thank you very much for watching the stream, and Andy and I will hopefully join you for Commentators Corner. Don't go away.